Virtual tabletops have changed the face of tabletop role-playing games by letting players from all over the world come together at the same adventure table and enjoy their game. Hey fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard Quiner. Welcome back to the Daily D20, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. And today, it is not the normal day. It is a Tabletop Thursday, but I'm not talking about something that's a physical table. I'm talking about a virtual tabletop. Now, if you're not sure what a virtual tabletop is, it's a tool that's used to share a screen or a map between the game masters and the players in a game online. So a couple examples of these are Roll20 is a dedicated software for this purpose. There's also one called Fantasy Grounds that is also very popular. I don't use either of those, and that's what this video is going to be about, a different option that you have that might work more for your needs. So what do I look like in a virtual tabletop? A couple things are really important to me when using this. One is ease of use. I want the players to be able to connect and manipulate this virtual tabletop pretty easily. I would like also to not have to do a whole big learning lesson on how to set things up in my virtual tabletop. I have all the information, I have all the data I need separately. I don't want to have to buy stuff just to use it in my virtual tabletop. And as a bonus, I like it to be free. I like it to be something real simple. And that's where I get what I'm coming up with, what I'm using in my games when I have to play online, which is Google Drawings. After taking some time and learning how to use Google Drawing and seeing how it actually works and running a couple games in it, I've decided this is basically all I need personally for a virtual tabletop. One of the biggest things is it's free. It comes if you have a Google account. If you use Gmail, you have access to Google Drawings, and most people in the world have access to Gmail and Google Drawings, so you can use that pretty much all the time. To access Google Drawings, all you need to do is go to your Google Drive account, which you probably have. I'll put some links in the description how you can get to these places, of course. There will be a lot of links in the description on this one. Go to Google Drive, hit the new button on the top left, go down to More, and then pick Google Drawing. It's going to open up a new window that has a blank canvas there ready for you to use. Once this canvas opens, you can rename it on the top corner, and I like to go to the File Page Setup option and change the aspect ratio of this. If I'm using a square map mainly for my games, which a lot of maps come in squares, I will change the aspect ratio to fit that by setting custom and setting it as a 1:1. So if it's 10 inches long, I'm going to set it by 10 inches wide, and I'll make a nice square for me to work with. You can set the aspect ratio to whatever you want by using this page setup function. Now you can get into the fun part of building your world in your virtual tabletop. You're going to need some maps, and for those I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can go pick up some cool maps that you can use. I'm also going to leave links for tokens and other assets that you'll want to use. But for now, start with a map, find something that works for the area you're going to be in, and all you do is drag it into your Google Drawing. Once it's in the Google Drawing, you can use the handles on the corners to resize it how you would like, make it fill the screen, make it not fill the screen. It's entirely up to you. Next, you're going to need some tokens, and like I said, their links will be in the description below. Tokens are generally kind of circular. You can get a whole lot of them for very easily online. They're circular tokens that the players can move around. You're going to just drag those also into your Google Drawing, and you'll see that it starts kind of building layers. It has, each drawing is on its own layer, and when you click on one of the tokens, you'll be able to move it around wherever you would like, and your players will also have that option once you connect them to the Google Drawing. Now that's all the assets you really need to run a game. It's just some tokens and a map. I like to take it an extra step. If I'm doing several encounters in a game, or if I have several map changes, I will open up another Google Drawing and load in several other assets, several maps I'll put in there. I'll have another one for encounters where I'll have tokens for each of the monsters in the encounter, and I'll have it divided up by the encounter that the players will actually run into. Stuff like that to make it just a little easier for me when I'm sitting down and playing to move stuff and use stuff in the game. So I'm pre-prepared. I don't have to worry about that on the fly and make stuff up. And now you're ready to share it with your players. On the top right, there's a share button. When you click that, it'll open up a little pop-up window with a button on there that says Get Shareable Link. When you click on that, it will populate a little link in this little window, and it will give you the option to let people view or edit this Google Drawing. You'll want to make sure you change that so people can actually edit it. You want the players to be able to control their own tokens on the map. Once you have that link, all you do is send that to your players. They click on it and they load in, and now they can watch and look at and manipulate your new virtual tabletop in Google Drawings. A couple cool tips for this to remind the players to only touch their own token and not any of yours. You can actually change the color of their tokens so they can more easily recognize it. just by select a token, go up to the top and find the option, select border color, change the border color to whatever you want for your players. You can also colorize the tokens. If the players have kind of a boring token and want a little more different colors on there, so you can easily do that. Select a token, right click it, go to format options, and it will give you a whole list of things you can do to it, including recoloring it, adding a drop shadow if you want to give some 3D depth to it, stuff like that. That makes it a little bit more easy to see for your players. Now you're pretty much ready to run your game. If you have a voice chat, you can easily hop online and have a voice chat with your players. They can see the maps and the tokens as you move them around. They can move their own tokens and maps around. I will say, if you are doing this, make sure that your map is in the back layer of this drawing, and you can do that by right-clicking it and select Order and Send to Back. That's a usually good way to do it, to keep your map in the background, and then the players can click around and move their tokens as they need to. Now, even though I do enjoy this Virtual Tabletop Solution, I will explain some of the cons so you can decide if it's right for you. The main one being it's not designed for virtual tabletop, so it's not themed like any sort of fantasy setting. It doesn't have a cool graphical theme to it. It's just a very simple blank page you have to use. It also doesn't include any of the character builder options. Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds has a way for the players to control their characters right there in the app, which makes it very simple, and also the GM can get a hold of those and manipulate those as they need to as well. Personally, I don't find that I have a need for that. I trust my players. They can keep track of their own character sheets, and I can keep track of my own information. It doesn't have any built-in dice rolling system like the others do either, but again, I don't really find a problem with that. It looks cool in Fantasy Ground to roll some dice right there on the table where everyone can see it, but at the same time, I trust my players. I trust their die rolls. They haven't been lying to me too much. I don't lie to them. It's just a mutual trust that we got going on, so I don't see the need for a virtual dice. You do have to find your own art assets, and that's part of the thing with Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds. They have some free ones, but you have to buy other ones that you want. But for me, I've already bought most of my books on D&D Beyond, so I don't want to go buying them again. So instead, I'll look for free art assets that people are using and use that for my own game, or I'll make my own depending on what I really need. And of course, the pros, as I like to mention, it's free, it's really easy to use and get your players connected to, and I think you don't get lost in all the bells and whistles. That's, I think, was what moved me away from Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, was trying to learn it and finding so many options and so many features that just was overwhelming and not helpful for me in running my game. So for me, Google Drawing kind of took the cake and made it the best virtual tabletop that I've used and that I really enjoy actually using. So my suggestion though, if you're just getting started and trying to learn a little bit more about virtual tabletop, this might be a good starting point. You might want to go on and learn Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds separately, that's up to you, but I highly recommend you at least look at Google Drawing and see if it will help for what you need. If you need to know more about other great tabletop accessories to add some immersion to your tabletop gaming, go ahead and click the video over here. And for other cool tools, no matter where you play, whether it's online or on the table, go ahead and click the video over here. And of course, I've been Richard Quiner. Thanks for watching.